So we spent a lot of time talking about the HR function of administration, talking about staffing, how we select people to come into the organization, how we conduct performance approval, appraisals. So we're going to switch gears for just a little bit and talk about influencing, just another technique we can use within the administration world, and how we use this to just manage and coach our teams through change, and how we work to just kind of direct them through what can be sometimes a little bit difficult change. So in earlier modules, we discussed the difference. Let me scroll back one. We discussed the difference between power and authority. And just remember, power is something that's given, mainly because of your position or your title that you hold. But authority is something completely different. Authority is something that is earned. And it all goes back to the concept of servant leadership and how we're treating those who work for us, and what the tone of the culture that we're setting, which ultimately affects our patients. But think back to, how employees that work for you are treated. We want to build those relationships so that we're earning trust and not losing it. Remember, we talked about how hard it is to gain trust back once it's lost, and it is quite difficult. And how we can, earn that trust and maintain that trust through simply just maintaining good working professional relationships with our employees. Certainly doesn't mean that you have to be best friends with everybody you work for, and chances are you likely won't. But you can maintain really good working relationships. You don't have to go out and, hang out with them outside of work. But if you work to maintain those relationships that are built on trust, then the people who work for you are going to grant you that authority, and they'll often, walk through walls for you. They will do what it takes. Trust, authority, something that's earned and can take some time, and once it's gone or broken, takes a long time to earn back. Now, one of my favorite stories about authority versus power is Southwest Airlines CEO Herb Keller. I don't know if you may remember this or not, but a couple years ago, the airline industry was seeing some of a decline, and particularly with Southwest Airlines, realizing within the next quarter that they were standing to lose a large amount of money. So Herb Keller sent out an email to all the employees that worked for him saying, if you could do something to save the company $5 a day, how beneficial and impactful it would be. And my favorite part of this is how he signed his email, Love Herb. It gives it that personal touch and really works to try and make a connection with the people who work for him. Now, he didn't demand, he didn't force, he didn't say that you have to do things to save the company $5 or, save $5 a day for the company. But he simply asked, think about what you're doing before you do it, and can it save our company $5 a day? And through this, they not only survived, they not only broke even, but they also thrived. They made, 5%, almost 6% operating margin, letting them make a profit. So not just surviving, but thriving due to one simple email for one simple request. And, if you look back at it, like I said, he didn't force, he just asked. He didn't use his position to kind of dominate and force people to do this, but just simply asked for them to help the company out. And this just showcases a man who has a great amount of influence, and a great amount of authority that's been given to him through his employees. Now, influencing is an art, and it's just another one of those skills that you're going to have to learn and practice at to get better at. Think back to a time that you worked for a job that, they gave you orders all day, didn't really explain why. Influencing is more than giving orders. Think how unmotivating is that when you're just simply given orders all day, and not really explain the why of what you're doing. So, just keep in the back of your mind when you find yourself in this type of position that you're asking in a way that motivates the people who works for you and kind of gives them that driving force. to get the task at hand done, and really works to inspire them and inspire their level of confidence in you as a leader and your leadership abilities. So as I scroll through these, I want you to think, doesn't this make sense? When I am given a directive, I want something that is reasonable. I want something that's worded appropriately. You don't want directions that are unreasonable. You want clear-cut directions, and the same goes here with directives. We want to make sure that they're aligning, again, like we've mentioned several times, everything tying back to the mission, vision, and values for the organization. And as you go through, make sure you're defining that timeline that they have to complete this, and make sure that it's appropriate for the task. You don't want a task that will take somebody 5 days due within a day. That's a little unreasonable. So make sure, again, you're tying everything back to the mission vision, that you're making reasonable requests and giving them the appropriate amount of time to complete that. I've also always been of the thought and a proponent of that success or failure of an organization and different processes that they implement within the organization depends on how well the leader can influence change or how well you can sell change as a leader. Oftentimes we would see new processes implemented within the hospital system. If we didn't have that leadership champion there, things, we could have the best process in the world, but if we didn't have somebody with that authority and that leadership level kind of supporting us and backing us up, these changes, which may be really, really good and really, really beneficial to the organization, may fall through the cracks because we don't have that leadership support there, and we don't have the appropriate people to kind of influence and sell this out to the people that work for them. But when you are giving your directives, you want to be careful too that you're not being too direct and you're not giving let's say like a checklist like work to do. Simply because, this can really stifle what could be very innovative ideas. So we want to make sure that we're not being a micromanager. We're not standing over people's shoulders every second of every day. We want to give them a little autonomy in what they're doing. And the important question here to ask yourself and to remember, and I hope that you remember this as you find yourself starting to work out in the field, is, am I the kind of person that I would want to work for? Think about your actions that you take with your employees and put yourself in your employee's shoes. The way you are behaving as a leader, is that someone you would want to work for? Now, as far as the lecture, I will end it here. We've got a couple more slides, and I'll go through and scroll through those. There are 2 videos throughout the rest of the lecture. I won't play them within the content, but I want you to make sure that you're going through and watching them. So one is dealing with change and how change is constant, nothing stagnant. And the other one deals with a tool that we can use to kind of help manage and guide through change called a force field analysis. Again, guys, I'm just going to scroll through the rest. There's no more lecture per se from here, but please make sure you are viewing the content, and if you have any questions, please let me know.